Good morning and welcome to Stock Market Today for Wednesday, July 10th, 2019. I am your host, Dan Russo, Chief Market Strategist at Chaikin Analytics. You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Dan_Russo_CMT. Stock Market Today brought to you today and every day by Chaikin Analytics. And if you head over to chaikinanalytics.com/today, you can sign up for a free email to follow along with this show, get daily stock ideas for you to consider in your inbox every trading day before the market opens. So U.S. equities finished higher in Tuesday's trading as a late day rally pushed the market into positive territory. At the sector level, REITs, financials, and consumer discretionary outperformed, while materials, staples, and industrials lagged. Treasuries were weaker across the curve. The dollar was stronger versus the yen and euro. Gold ended the day flat, and WTI crude settled up 30 basis points. Now, Fed Chair Powell will start a two-day testimony in front of Congress today and tomorrow, and expectations are that Powell is not likely to counter the market's pricing in of a 25 basis point rate cut later this month. However, it is also not likely that he will suggest that the Fed is ready to begin an easing cycle. And ahead of that, as we get to the desk this morning, S&P futures are down 20 basis points to start the day. Asian markets were mixed overnight. European markets are trading lower, though the pullback is fairly modest. Treasuries are weaker with the curve steepening. The dollar is stronger versus the yen, but weaker versus the euro and sterling. Gold down 20 basis points and WTI crude up nearly 2%. As we saw a larger draw than expected. Digging into the S&P 500 now, late day surge moves the index higher on the day. Support 2,900 to 2,950, resistance near the 3,000 mark. That's psychological support level. RSI confirmed the breakout in price, and now we're waiting for it to stabilize within bullish ranges. What are we talking about, bullish ranges? On pullbacks, we want to see the RSI hold above the 40-50 mark. Remember, this indicator shifts based on the trend. A lot of people think 30 is oversold, 70 is overbought, but in a strongly trending market, in this case to the uptrend as an example, you may never see 30 to the downside. So the ranges kind of shift as a signal of the strength of the trend. So to give us an indication that the uptrend is strong, we want to see RSI hold above 40 on pullbacks. Chaikin money flow is neutral, continues to dance with the zero line. We'd love to see that get in gear as added confirmation to the breakout in price. But so far, momentum has confirmed. Waiting for money flow to kind of get into gear here, but holding above support at the 2950 level. We'll see how the market reacts to 2 days of testimony by Fed Chairman Powell, but for now, we stay the course. Focus on leading stocks in leading industries. Look for those stocks when they are oversold with bullish money flow. Our market in a minute. What are we talking about in our note today to Chaikin Analytics clients? As we said, stock move higher on the back of a late day rally. Fed's Powell begins his semi-annual testimony in front of Congress today and tomorrow. Investor sentiment moves towards greed as the market lifts. Kind of would expect that. Personality change in healthcare equipment? We asked the question, and we'll take a look at the chart a little bit later in the show. Futures point to a lower open here today, as I said, down about 20 basis points as of the recording of this show. Our major indices from a power bar perspective, a little bit of a deterioration yesterday, but ever so slight. Dow down 7 basis points, 9 bulls to 5 bears. S&P 500 up 14 basis points, 134 bulls, 68 bears. Remember what we're talking about here. Within the model, we're looking at how many stocks in each of these indices have bullish ratings, neutral ratings, or bearish ratings to give us an indication of potential in the future. NASDAQ outperformed, up 26 basis points. Up 50 basis points, 26 bulls to 11 bears. Small caps, an inline performer, 575 bulls, 322 bears. Bonds down tick. According to the Chaikin Power Bar, large cap stocks and small cap stocks are bullish. Across the board, though, if we look beyond these indexes, the major indexes are mixed from a power bar perspective. Looking now to our stock of the day. Starting to see some attention being paid to the banks. A little bit of a relative improvement in the bank stocks. Not a lot there yet to get me excited, but the algorithm kicks out Lakeland Bancorp today. Ticker symbol LBAI. $16.21 close yesterday, up 18 basis points. Lakeland Bancorp has a very bullish Chaikin power gauge rating due to very strong earnings performance, very strong price volume activity, very positive expert activity, and attractive financial metrics. So when we take the 20 factors, 5 in each of these 4 categories, we get a very bullish rating. Very bullish stock, strong trend, strong industry group, type of name we want to consider. So we run our analysis again. We start at the bottom of the chart. We look at the ribbon here. It tells us where the power gauge rating is and has been over the past year, and you can see we're on that bullish rating. However, stock is underperforming the market. Market model nodding here. Dynamic duo not there for us. We want bullish and very bullish stocks that are outperforming the market. On top of that, stock is overbought within the context of this neutral trend. Now, Chaikin money flow is bullish. This is a positive indication here. What we want to see now is we want to see relative strength improve and turn positive. We've had a downtrend, goes into a sideways kind of neutral trend. Now we're looking for outperformance to get us excited here. We're not seeing that outperformance yet, so I don't think there's anything to do in Lakeland Bancorp at this time. What we do want to do, however, is add Lakeland, LBAI, to a bullish watch list and continue to monitor it. And what are we monitoring for? We're monitoring for outperformance, and then when the stock becomes oversold, all else being equal, that should provide a much better entry point for this very bullish stock. Add LBAI to your bullish watch list here today. Looking at our sector tracker, movement of the major sectors over the last 5 days. Real estate remains at the top of the list, was the best performing sector of the market yesterday. Discretionary had a strong day yesterday on the back of Amazon, although I will note that retail was weak. Discretionary number 2 spot. Utilities round out the top 3. Financials, energy, comms, and staples are the middle of the road. Tech, positive, part of the bottom 4. Healthcare, industrials, and materials been down over the past 5 days. For those of you who read my Tuesday note where we look at sector relative strength, we highlighted the fact that industrials likely have the path of least resistance lower on a relative basis. That continues to play out. Materials came under pressure after some cautious comments, a big name in the group yesterday, as it relates to the global economy and potential slowing there or slowing that they're seeing. That weighed on the materials group on the day. Now, our industry in focus, speaking of materials, is mining services. And over the past 6 months, the mining services subsector has underperformed the S&P 500 by 14.5%. However, there could be signs of a change of foot here because the power bar ratio, which measures future potential, is very strong. 6 bullish or very bullish stocks, only 2 bearish or very bearish stocks. Now, it's middle of the road in terms of the 21 subsectors that we look at. It's ranked number 10, and that's down 5 slots over the past week. But if you're looking for ideas in this potentially improving group, the types of names that you want to look at are the names that are bullish. AK Steel. AKS has a bullish rating. Schnitzer Steel, SCHN, has a bullish rating. And Reliance Steel, RS, also has a bullish rating. And as I dug into the charts on all 3 of these stocks here today, the one that looked most compelling to me was Reliance. Ticker symbol RS, closed at 92.30 yesterday, down 11 basis points. Bullish rating, strong trend, strong industry group. So we know we're fishing in the right pond here. Now let's run through our analysis. Rating has been oscillating between bullish and neutral. And now what we can see is we're back on a bullish rating and the stock's outperforming the market. A little bit of a new development here over the past month or so with the stock starting to lead the S&P 500 or the SPY. Unfortunately, though, from a timing perspective, I want to see this stock when it's oversold. Bullish money flow, that's compelling. Trading up here near the highs, above a rising long-term trend line, all looks compelling, but from a timing standpoint, you know, your odds of success are greater if you buy stocks that are oversold. So this one kind of checks a lot of the boxes, but from a timing standpoint, we're not there yet. Reliance does look compelling to me. I want to add it to a bullish watch list here today. I know it's kind of, sometimes that's part of the game. You find these ideas, but they're not quite ready yet, but you want to come back to them in the future. That's why we advocate for maintaining bullish and bearish watch lists. And then when the setup is there, you can get involved. Take a look at Reliance when it becomes oversold, all else being equal. But this name does look compelling for a group that looks like it could be making the turn. RS on the bullish watch list here today. Taking a look at what's trending now. Yesterday's S&P 500 gainers and losers. AMD, a bright spot for the chip companies, up 3.5%. Twitter, no real news to send that stock higher by 3.3%. Only kind of highlight that I saw was that they and Facebook were not being invited to an internet summit in Washington. Western Digital up 3.25%. Micron up 2.33%. some commentary yesterday about memory chip pricing potentially inflecting and moving higher. That lent a bid to names within the memory supply chain. So Western Digital had a good day yesterday, as did Micron. Fortinet, no real news that I could see. Ticker symbol FTNT sent that stock higher 2.5%. But as I said, didn't see any real company-specific news to drive that one on the day. Dialysis names come under pressure after an article in Politico said that the White House was targeting dialysis companies. DaVita, the big name there, down 5.3%. Retail, as I said, was weak yesterday. L Brands, a standout to the downside, down 4%. AMCR, didn't see any real news on that one, down 3.5+%. FCX getting caught up in the downdraft in materials, lower by 3%. And LyondellBasell announcing some commentary about their Dutch auction. Guess investors didn't like what they heard there. Stock down 3.11% on the day. So let's kind of dive right in. On Wednesdays, in my morning notes, Chaikin Analytics clients, we look at sentiment. One of the ways that I like to gauge sentiment is to actually see what people and investors are doing in the marketplace. Now, there are a lot of sentiment surveys out there where people tell you how they're feeling, what they think. Am I bullish over the next 6 months? Am I neutral or bearish? That's great. But what people tell you doesn't always line up with what people are doing with their money. I prefer to look at metrics that track what people are doing with their money. And one of the ways that I like to look at that is the CBOE options equity put call ratio, right? Are investors buying more puts in a sign that they're caution, or are they bidding up calls in a sign of optimism on the market? And what we can see here is that sentiment is moving towards greed. This is the 13-period moving average of the CBOE equity put call ratio. And you can see investors, when they were fearful back in late May, the market was bottoming out. We see spikes here that tend to coincide with lows in the S&P 500. Right now, we're back down here, not in extreme lows like what we saw back in January, February of 2018, or even in the middle of the summer of 2018, but we are kind of moving in that direction. So sentiment moving towards fear based on what investors are doing with their money, not what they're saying. If we take a look at the VIX, it's below its regression line. Talk about that in my note today. Also, the CNN Fear Greed Index has moved into a position of greed where it has stayed over the past couple of weeks. So sentiment certainly has shifted more towards greed over the past couple of weeks. Qs continue relative improvement. What we're looking at here is the QQQ relative to the SPY, and we can see after that May swoon, we've steadily improved, retaken the 200-day moving average, though in fairness, the 200-day moving average is moving sideways. But what I'm looking at is the RSI of this ratio, as again, it holds here above 50. Signs of a bullish momentum shift, what we're looking for to give us a read on if this emerging strength is likely to continue. What we want to see now is this hold above 50, and actually we want to see it become overbought. We'd like to see it become overbought to give us a strong momentum confirmation to this emerging trend. On an absolute basis, the Qs are trading up here near all-time highs, a little bit of a breakout and pullback after holding support during that May swoon. So the Qs, kind of look interesting to me. Kind of look compelling, fits with our narrative that in a slowing growth environment, you want to favor growth stocks. Qs certainly have a lot of growth stocks. So, if you're looking for ideas, start to think about looking at the holdings of the Qs and isolating the strongest names from the strongest industry groups within that fund. Now, we're asking, is there a personality change in healthcare equipment? And the reason we're asking that is because the XHE, the ETF that tracks that industry, has a bullish rating, and we've seen a steady improvement in relative strength over the past few months. Now, we're not quite there yet, but this improvement has caught my attention, showing early signs of a personality change. The fund is oversold with bullish money flow and is holding above the long-term trend line, which is now beginning to turn higher. So as I start to think about where money may be rotating within this market, I have to start to think about healthcare equipment and start looking at some of the leading stocks within this industry group as it emerges as a leader. And one of the stocks that I'm looking at today is West Farm Services, ticker WST. Bullish rating, strong trend, strong industry group. Market and model are in agreement Oversold, bullish money flow, triggered a buy signal here today. Take a look at WST as a potential long idea. So as I said yesterday, check out my survival guide, published every Tuesday. I'll be back here tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.